Hello, my name is Ammar Gangadiwala. I'm a cloud architect with 20 plus years of experience in software industry, focusing mostly on Azure and Microsoft technology stack. In this webcast, I will describe an architecture and several techniques that we use to help the customer with modernizing their legacy system based on SSIS packages for ETL operation. ETL stands for extract, transform, and load, and moving to the cloud native architecture using stateless Azure function as the core component. A decade ago, SSIS was a very popular tool for ETL operations. Legacy SSIS packages developed was very complex, cumbersome, and difficult to support. SSIS packages typically execute on a local machine and are an integral part of data integration in organization. All the business logic in the legacy system was incorporated in the store procedure. The pain point of the customer was maintaining and enhancing to this existing SSIS packages and store procedures. Our goal was to remove all the SSIS packages and remove all the business logic from the existing store procedure and modernize the application using cloud native solution. This is the existing architecture which was based on SSIS package and the store procedure. Here you see at the core of the system is the SSIS packages and the SQL server which contains all the store procedures. The flow for this one was that the files, various files, it can be Excel file, it can be a comma separated file, or it can be text file, will drop into this network file system. Then it will be sent to the FTP site, to the local storage. The application on the desktop application will monitor this local storage. When the files arrives, it will kick off the SSIS packages. The conversion, the ETL operation happens, and then when if there is a failure, it will be sent to an email notification to all the users. If successful, then it will call the store procedures, and the store procedure will put the file into the output file system and also store the into the SQL Server data. So we thought about using the Azure Functions primarily for two reasons that our customer insisted for the new customer. First, it must be cost effective because most of the processing will happen during the off-peak hours and little bit of latency will not be an issue. And the second point was the setting up the infrastructure should be very simple. Azure Function is a serverless compute service that allows the developers to create and run event-driven serverless application. While Azure Function offers many benefits, there are also some disadvantages. Let me share what are the advantages of using Azure Functions. Cost effectiveness. With Azure Function, you can only pay for the time your code runs. There is no need to be provision or manage servers, which can significantly reduce your infrastructure cost. Second, scalability. Azure Function automatically scales to handle spikes in traffic, ensuring that your application can handle high loads without any manual intervention. Third, integration with other Azure services. Azure Functions can easily integrate with other My Azure services such as storage, event hubs, service bus, etc. This enables you to build a complex event-driven architecture that can process data in real time. Fourth, multiple programming languages. Azure Function supports multiple programming languages, including C Sharp, Java, JavaScript, PowerShell, and Python. This allows developers to choose the language they are most comfortable with and to build the application using the tools they prefer. Fifth, easy deployment and management. Azure Functions can be easily deployed and managed using the Azure portal, Azure CLI, or other Azure tools. This makes it easy for the developers to manage and monitor their application. Sixth, security. Azure Functions provides built-in security features such as automatic encryption of data at rest and in transit, role-based access control, and integration with Azure Active Directory. Seventh, faster development. With Azure Functions, developers can focus on writing code rather than managing infrastructure. This can speed up the development and the deployment times and allows developers to iterate more quickly. With so many advantages of Azure Functions that we've seen, there are some few limitations of Azure Functions. First one, the cold start time. The first time an Azure function is executed, it may experience a cold start, which can take several seconds. This can affect the performance of the application that require low latency. There are ways to lower this cold start times of Azure Functions. Limited execution time. Azure Functions have a limited execution time, limit of 10 minutes. This means that a long running task may need to be broken down into smaller tasks. And the third one, limited computer resources. Azure functions have limited computer resources, which can limit their ability to handle large workloads or spikes in traffic. This was a proposed architecture based on the Azure functions for replacing the existing legacy SSIS packages and store procedures with this new architecture. Here you see the input file system was replaced with the Azure blob storage. The file will come into this blob storage and the message will be generated and inserted into this service bus, which in turn will trigger a function, which was the routing function that will decide where to send, on which queue to send the message. So here you see this your different queues, which is the one for the Excel, another one for the comma separated file, and the third one for the text queue. And based on that one, it will generate its appropriate trigger function. And those trigger function will write into their respective databases, which can be storage, it can be a file system, or it can be Azure SQL database. Uh, there is also one service called config service, which will read all the information from a Cosmos DB database. And all this one, the routing function and all these components over here will use this config service. Also used was the Azure monitors to monitor all the activities of the system. So this was a quick demonstration of how to convert existing SSIS packages into and modernizing into the cloud native architecture. Thank you for watching, and please do not forget to click on the like button and the subscribe button for new content.